Well, this past weekend has been a lot, especially since I'm back after a fun weekend at VidCon, which I may or may not do a whole video on in the future, but now that I'm back, I had to make sure to see 2 movies that came out during that weekend. That's right, I'm doing a double review because I haven't really done one in a while, but also since I don't really have a lot to say about both of them. But before I get into it, if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like these, and be sure to comment to see which movie you prefer. So the first movie I went to see was 28 Years Later. Ever since I saw the first trailer for this movie, I was really surprised at how much I was interested in seeing this movie, even though I've never even seen 28 Days or 28 Weeks Later, and I wanted to watch them both before going into this one. But my immune system decided to give up on me the week before this movie's release, so since that didn't happen, I still went into it thinking that I would still enjoy it without having any knowledge of seeing the previous movies. But I gotta say, this movie actually delivered more than what I was expecting. Before going in, I saw some reviews that people were disliking it because there isn't really a lot of horror stuff and it was more of an emotional journey for the characters. But to me, I think that's what carries this movie for me. This is one of those rare cases that a horror movie makes you care for the characters, even though we did had another horror movie that came out recently which I think did better. But this movie does make you feel empathy for these characters, and I think that they do it in a way that it's beautiful? Which is weird for me to say for a horror movie, and that's another thing that I want to get into. This movie, it's barely a horror movie at points, while still having some mostly horror elements added into it, but the shift in tones that this movie gives was honestly very effective in my opinion. It's more as an emotional drive for the main kid character, since he was basically born in this post-apocalyptic zombie world. You can definitely feel his point of view on where he's coming from, and how he manages to survive in this world. I also think that the kid actor does a good job portraying this emotionally but brave character that he goes through in this movie. I was very invested in it. I also really love this movie's presentation about the world and the way how all of it was shot. It's really good. Also the fact that most of the shots in this movie were shot on iPhones, which was cool on a technical level, and how the movie was edited and everything. I just love that this movie had its own identity to show with how the story is presented and how it portrays its characters, and is paced really well. If I'd had to pick any problems with this movie, I'd say that the shift in tones can get a little out of place, which didn't bother me, but I just kinda find it a little weird for this movie being more serious in tone for the first half of the movie, but then you get some out of place humor. But yeah, I'll say it's probably one of the better horror movies that came out this year. Now, if you're into horror movies and zombie movies in general, give this one a watch. Even if you haven't seen the other ones, you will have a fun time with this one. Or if you don't like horror movies, then I guess your other option is the next movie I saw after watching 28 Years, which was Pixar's newest movie, Elio. Now, Elio was probably one of Pixar's strangest movies when it comes to its release. For one, this movie was initially supposed to release early last year, but then got delayed to a whole year. So for that reason, a lot of people didn't even know that it was coming out until the week of its release. Which I think is kinda sad, because to me, I kept an eye on this movie throughout its release, and I wanted to see it, but before going into actually watching it, I was a little worried about how this movie would actually turn out. As a huge Pixar fan who would watch anything that the studio would put out, I think it's just the fact that this movie sort of had a bit of a struggle when it comes to its production, which had me a little worried about how the overall story would turn out. So I went and saw it, and thankfully I wasn't disappointed. I had a good enough time with this cute little movie. Now, this isn't one of Pixar's greatest movies in my opinion, nor is it a low point for the studio. To me, I find it just a charming movie about a boy who wants to get taken by aliens because he feels that he didn't fit in on Earth. The overall presentation does a good job on getting you somewhat engaged with the main character and the story that sets up. Elio is such a fun protagonist to follow along with, and I really like his experiences and his interest on all of the space stuff that he gets into. I thought it was satisfying and emotional to know where he was coming from. It made me feel something, and like any Pixar movie, it still looks visually pretty, and there are some shots that just made me feel peaceful in a way. There's a shot where Elio is sitting by the ocean at night and the bright moon is illuminated to the ocean. It just looks pretty and I like it. But I think my problem with this movie is that when Elio finally gets to the whole alien world place, and as much as it sounds cool in concept, it didn't really make me feel as connected to it as the movie wants me to. Same with all of the alien characters, they didn't really get to do much outside of just telling Elio about the main villain coming to destroy their world. Oh yeah, the villain was kinda whatever to me. I didn't really get much out of him, and as a result, he kinda lacks as a villain. I feel like he just didn't really have much of a motivation to be evil. From what I remember, all he wanted was to be a part of this council that all of these aliens are a part of, and it's not really established as much, and they kinda just drop it by the middle. But his little alien son and his relationship with Elio was pretty cute and funny. I liked those parts of the movie, even when the story was a little all over the place. I know I'm complaining about the story a lot with this movie, but honestly, it didn't really ruin how much I was engaged with how charming and cute this movie was. I still had a good time watching it, and some of the emotional beats do hit a bit, but I just kinda wish that the story would had a little more to establish just so the emotional moments would hit harder. But now, I'm not that upset with the final product. At the end of the day, I didn't mind watching it. It was cute, and that's just about it. Go see it if you still want to support original movies in theaters, because you guys are not doing this movie justice when it comes to its box office. Anyways, at least their next movie is another original movie, and you guys better check that one out too if you still want to support original movies in theaters. So to decide which movie is better, I'm gonna score them. So for 28 Years Later, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. But for Elio, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. But who's to say that you can't watch either of these movies? I think they're both solid for what they are, and I recommend watching both of them. But I guess my better choice is for you to watch Elio more, since 28 Years Later is not everyone's cup of tea, since, you know, it's a horror movie. So yeah, that's my review on both of these movies. Let me know if you have seen them, and if you have, let me know in the comments on what you think about them. Subscribe to see more, and I'll see you on whatever video I make next.